Episode 2, Frosty Dungeons. Last we left our heroes, they were going to the tavern, the Mug and Fife. Kriv needed a drink, and all the other characters followed him to try to straighten out this strange situation. Kriv walked up to the very bouncy tavern owner Mingus, looking to get a drink, and as Kriv approached the counter, Mingus turned to him and said, "Hello there, how can I help you?" Kriv said, "Tea, please." Mingus said, "Tea?" Kriv says, "That's not what you were expecting when I said I needed a drink." And Mingus would inform him, "We have ale, and more ale. If you want tea, you can go to the other tavern." And Kriv said, Mingus, I need tea." So Kriv had to go and run over to the other tavern, the Rose and Sparrow. We all understood that Kriv needed tea because he was mentally working through something. Previously, they had talked to Kirky, the baker. This time, it was Carly, the tavern owner. Carly wears a nice blouse and vest with a nice long dress past her knees. She would say, "Hello, how can I help you?" And Kriv would say, "Tea, please." And Carly would simply say, "What kind would you like? We have Earl Grey, we have chamomile, we have breakfast blend." And Kriv said, "The most calming that you have." And Carly would say, "You want some chamomile?" And she would go brew up a delicious cup of tea. "Would you like sugar or honey?" And Kriv wants honey and lemon in his tea. And Carly takes his order to a tea. Finesse would actually open a tab because they were going to need more tea. And Carly would say yes, and she would start a tab for them. And tea is 2 copper pieces. Aaron orders an Earl Grey with some cream and honey, and Finesse has the same. Winter has nothing because he's already had his caffeine for the day. And while Carly serves them their tea, she would mention, "Bunny buns go really good with tea." And Winter would say, "That was my breakfast and it really is quite good." Aaron would order 3 bunny buns for 1 SP each. Finesse orders 4 of them for a tab that would be 6 copper pieces and 7 silver pieces. Kirky and Carly have a very close business of partnership, so the party is able to get bunny buns with their tea at the tavern. The Rose and Sparrow are filled with round circular tables, and the party chose to sit at those so that they are not looking up and down the bar. The function of eating was explained, because in D&D, exhaustion is a thing. If you do not eat, you will get exhaustion, which is very, very bad, and if you get 6 levels of exhaustion, you'll die. Exhaustion is bad in game and in real life. The Rose and Sparrow is not as busy as the Mug and Fife. A much calmer, more peaceful atmosphere, tranquility to the bakery and the tea being served. Kriv grabbed his tea and moved to the most isolated corner of the tavern. Kriv sits down in a half-fetal position, sipping his tea, a very intense expression on his body, and he scarfs on another one of his bunny buns. Winter would sit next to him and lean over on the table and ask, "You alright?" Kriv would look at Winter and does not speak, also allowing Winter to be there next to him, as he is chill where he is. Kriv continues to sip his tea. Winter takes the hint and says, "Okay." Winter turns his attention to everyone else. Winter decides to give Kriv a moment and turns his attention to the other members of the party. Finesse sits at the table, drinks his tea, and eats a bunny bun as he waits for Kriv to chill out and say something. He goes and sits next to Kriv at the corner on a round table. He makes awkward eye contact with Finesse because what's going on? Without actually saying anything. Kriv is sitting there so long his tea starts to get cold, so he warms it up because he is a dragon of fire. There is a sense of peace in the tavern, a moment that all the characters just absorbed the moment they had all been in a collective dream. They are now meeting all those people that had been in the dream with them. The tavern smells like a burning fireplace. It keeps the winter chill outside. There is a pretty mantle over a fireplace, filled with decorations, one of white rabbits, and other cute animals. Aaron gets up to go stand by the fire to get out of the awkward air. Winter asks the rest of the party, "So what brings you to town?" Finesse would say, "Well, I was out adventuring for a while, so I just thought to come home." And while everyone is relaxing and taking it in, a female dwarf, clad in full armor and furs, enters the Rose and Sparrow armor. Finesse would recognize her as Major Urshar. That is Finesse's mother's superior officer, because Finesse's mother is the captain of the guard at Purdy's Rest, which is the keep that everyone is currently in. The female dwarf would make a beeline to Finesse, going around the tables to him. Seeing this, Finesse would stand up and give a salute and stand at ease. Winter sits straight up. Winter would not have met Major Urshar, because when you meet a Major Urshar, you're usually in major trouble. And Aaron is over by the fire. Aaron would not have met Major Urshar because Major Urshar is not really a person you would see in the civilian areas of Purdy's Rest. That's just not her job. She has a captain of the guard to be the person in between the guards and the people and Purdy's military unit. Major Urshar would say, "Finesse Silvertongue, your mother went on a scouting expedition 4 days ago, and she has not returned from the southern ice caverns. She has not returned with any mundane or magical messages. She went to go investigate what had been making the travel to the warmer lands so dangerous. It is not upon Purdy's authority, but on my own, as a concerned friend of your family and mother, that I tell you this. I am frustrated that we do not have the guard power to go and search for her. I know you fancy yourself an adventurer, despite your mother's approval. Could you go and find her?" And Winter would say, "Goodness, that is terrible." And Finesse would say, "Of course I would. She's my family after all. But do you have any rumors about what is waiting there for me?" Major Urshar would say, "It's just rumors. It's what your mother went to go check on in the first place. She is my best and only captain of the guard. I'm lost without her." Finesse would ask, "Would you be able to relay some of those rumors to me so that I may slightly be more prepared?" Major Urshar would say, "Honestly, it could be anything. Giants, wolves, it could be a white dragon for all I know." And Winter would say, "It could be anything out there. Trust me. I don't think I can delay very long." And Finesse would say, "Winter, Kriv, it was good seeing you. I must depart now in case you wish to accompany me." And Winter says, "If you think I'm letting you go alone, you are a fool." Kriv looks up and violently slams his tea on the table. This surprises Aaron, who looks over sharply. Winter is instantly fluff, and Kriv would say, "I'm sorry, what are the rules here? Like, I know, And then he would fall silent. And Major Urshar would say, "Well, I'm the keeper of the rules. What rules do you want?" And Kriv would say, No. Urshar, you misunderstand. This does not concern you." Kriv suspiciously eyes Urshar. trying to mentally urge Urshar out of the tavern. Aaron would come back and stand next to Finesse in support and confusion. Finesse would ask Aaron, would you join me in rescuing my mother as well? Aaron would say, I feel obligated to, because I do not want you to go alone. And Winter would say, again, if you think you're going alone, you are a fool. And Finesse would say, I appreciate y'all's assistance. And Major Urshar would say, I do not have much. I have a few potions I could give to you on your journey. It is what I can provide, because I cannot provide any manpower at the moment. And Finesse would say, that is fine. The potions will serve. I appreciate your assistance in this. Major Urshar would hand over 4 regular healing potions. Finesse would take them, and Kriv is trying to figure this out. Kriv says, okay, Finesse, Aaron, you're supposed to know each other. So of course you both would support each other. From Winter, from what I understand, you do not know these people, any more than I do. We all met in a dream! And Winter would agree, and Kriv would continue with, and we're just going to pretend like that is normal, and you're just going to take off with them. No questions and no get-to-know-yous. And Aaron would say, the universe is trying to tell us something. And Kriv would say, oh yes, no, that was a great assumption. That was not clarified earlier, Aaron. And Finesse would say, well, Kriv, what do you consider normal? I don't consider anything normal. There is nothing normal about life. And Kriv would say, I dislike your philosophical tone. And Winter would say, let me put it to you this way. The goddess of my people, that I have worshipped with my family since I was a cub, appeared to me in a dream. And then I wake up, and then I encounter the people that were in my dream. The people in that dream are not only real, but in the same place as I am. I cannot overlook that significance. And Kriv would say, you're trying to tell me, just because I resemble the name and look of a character in your dream, in a dream that your brain made up, you now have unequivocal, inarguable evidence that freaky, sexy demon actually exists. And Aaron would say, don't disrespect the gods like that. Remember, she eats people. And Finesse would say, Kriv, I would advise that you be careful how you speak of the gods. And Kriv would say, look, I'm not trying to get a god angry at me. If there's actually a god to get angry with me. And Kriv would say, all I'm saying is, one weird dream. It could have come from something we saw. We are all in the same tavern. In fact, me and Winter stayed at the same hotel. There is quite an argument to be made for, I may have seen Winter before I went into my bedroom last night, and my head could have made it all up. I'm so confused. And Aaron would say, Kriv, I do not know where you come from, but here we follow what happens with the universe and the gods. And that is how many of us live our lives. So we see this dream as a call to action, and it is not just something to ignore. And Winter would say, to be frank, even if it hadn't happened in a dream, Finesse needs help. His mother is missing. I can't not at least offer. That would be cruel among my people, and lacking empathy. When one member of the pack suffers, the entire pack suffers. And Kriv would say, but he's not a part of your pack, Winter. Not yet, anyway. And Winter would say, is he not a living, breathing creature? Does he not have a life? Does his mother not have a life? And Kriv would say, that is a very fluid definition of pack, I guess. And Winter would say, he is a living mortal who will eventually die, return to the earth, as will I. And Winter would say, and that is enough, at least for me. I cannot speak for anyone else. Kriv knows that he cannot argue with it, so he grumbles a bit and goes back to his tea. Major Urshar would mentally excuse Kriv and give Finesse a small black orb. And she would say, I've given you potions, and I will give you this orb of direction to lead you south, to the caverns. It is what I have on me. With the conversation winding down, and Finesse thanking Major Urshar for the help, Major Urshar would say, there are no other questions, I have to get back on duty. And Finesse would ask, where can I get pythons? And Kriv would say, look, Finesse, I don't know what is up with all this, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got some pythons. If you need some pythons, I can do that. And Finesse would ask, how much for the pythons, Kriv? Major Urshar would be on her way out the door, and Aaron thanks Major Urshar. Kriv eyes the dwarf that is leaving, and then eyes Winter very aggressively, borderline angrily, eyes Winter, and then rolls his eyes. Kriv then slams 5 pythons down upon the table, and Winter, being the poster child for patience, says, is there something you would like to say? Kriv would say no. Aaron would ask, are you sure, Kriv? Kriv would slam 1 more python onto the table and go back to his tea. And Winter says, well, you may not want to now, but I have 2 very good ears that are very good for listening, if you so should choose. Finesse would slam 2 silver pieces upon the table in exchange for the pitons, in response to Kriv's attitude. And Winter advises, don't engage. Don't engage with the behavior. And Finesse says, now, Kriv, I'm not saying that I would not appreciate as many people as I can, because it's always better to have more people watching your back. But it is up to you and what you're going to do. I will be leaving in 15-20 minutes to go find my mother. And Kriv would stand up in a slightly violent way. He would push the chair back, looks around at each person before he walks away. And as I start talking again, Kriv would swoop back, finger walks his hands over to the silver pieces, and he swipes them away. 2 silver pieces. And then he would whisk away out the door of the tavern, and Winter would say, like, it doesn't sound crazy to the rest of us. Jonah did get a point of inspiration because he's setting the mood. And Finesse would give 1 gold to Carly to cover the tab. Everyone does break up to go shopping. Finesse hands out a potion of healing to Winter and Aaron. The general consensus is that the three do want Kriv to come along because of his fire powers, and it's always helpful to have more people on the team, but they cannot make him come. Kriv decides to go speak to Rolo. Rolo is there at the counter at the Three-Headed Dog's Inn. Rolo would greet him very nicely and say, "You came back so fast." Kriv would lean down on the counter and sigh, and Rolo would say, "You seem tired, friend. How can I help you?" And Kriv would say, "I just got here, Rolo. I've been traveling this godforsaken winter wilderness, and I finally just got here, ready to set up shop. And some self-important tiefling decides to have family issues, and I don't want to go back into the snow with a bunch of people who not only do I not know, but also weren't very nice. They didn't even give me a good hello." And Rolo would say, "Well, I thought you were all friends by the way you all interacted. No, I've never met any of these creatures in my life, other than a weird dream." And Rolo would say, "Well, Kriv, I know you're new here, and I do welcome you here, and I do know that you are trying to set up shop." Rolo says, "That blue tiefling, he's very well known in the area. He is a noble and very well known. If you're looking to set up shop, you're going to need a reputation, yeah?" And Kriv would say, "I guess." And Rolo would say, "People around here like a hero." And Kriv would say, "I guess. What are you trying to do, Rolo? Bribe me for someone else?" And Rolo would say, "Friend, I'm just trying to help you out. I know you're new, and I know you're trying to set up a business. And as a business owner myself, you gotta build up your reputation before people are going to trust and buy from you. That's how business works." And Kriv would say, "Well, Rolo, I hate that you gave me a self-serving reason to make this happen, because I was leaning towards not doing it, though my self-sacrificial tendencies made me want to. Damn you, Rolo!" And Rolo would say, "Thank you. And I do know you're looking for a place to live, and I have that for you." And Kriv would say, "Well, Rolo, I'll get back to you as long as I didn't die." And Kriv would run out the door and slam the door open again, like he did earlier. And Rolo would sigh and say, "I've got to put some sort of cushioning or silencer on that door." Preparation of the party. Finesse goes to the general store to go shopping for ball bearings and caltrops. Finesse buys caltrops and ball bearings, 1 gold piece each. Lancaster would be able to easily repair Finesse's leather armor. That doesn't cost anything. Winter goes back to the inn to retrieve his things for the journey. Winter purchases a sling for 1 silver piece at Lancaster's. Winter also purchases a bag of sling bullets for 4 copper pieces. Aaron purchases a long sword for 15 gold pieces. Aaron, Finesse, and Winter are at the gate, and they discuss wanting Kriv to come, but not being able to force him. Kriv visits Kirky at the bakery. Kriv buys 10 more buddy buns from the bakery, and Kriv gives Kirky a little flirtatious wink and smile before he leaves. I was able to show off Aguta's old scary picture. Kriv would hide behind one corner and watch the 3 at the gate. Kriv also casts minor illusion to make a bush in front of him to be more stealthy. And Finesse hands out 2 of the healing potions to Aaron and Winter at this point. Winter is able to craft potions. He checks the quality of the health potion. The potion has been sitting for a while, but it's not yet expired. You could say it's been on the shelf for a while, so bringing it on a journey is a good use for these potions. And when the party is ready, they would tell the guards, and the guards would open the gate for them to leave Pretty's Rest. Finesse and Aaron proceed forth through the gate. Winter looks back one more time, wondering if he should ask Kriv one more time, because the fire would be just so handy out there. As Winter and soon Finesse hesitate at the gate, Kriv makes a new bush right out in the open and hides behind it, only 15 feet from the party. Aaron is finally able to recognize that bush is magical, and Kriv stands up from the bush and shouts, "If I die, it's your fault!" Deal. Winter and Aaron laugh, and Finesse takes out the 4th healing potion and holds it out to Kriv, dangling it out in the air to tease Kriv to get it. Finesse would yank it away once before actually handing it over to Kriv. Kriv would swipe it the 2nd time, and he looks all smug, trying to pretend that he got it the 1st time. Kriv and Finesse shake hands, and Aaron and Winter laugh. There is a jovial atmosphere. The party look ahead into the vast, cold, tundra wilderness in front of them. They start traveling towards the southern ice caverns. The southern ice caverns, while they are known of, not many people choose to visit them. There are hiking paths that merchants often take, so the paths are well marked, because merchants want easy paths to bring their goods through. The terrain and weather are in their favor. They head out at a fast pace towards the ice caverns. The party is well dressed for the cold as they start their trek. The DM was given inspiration for a chill pun after stating that Aaron's new winter wonderland boots ignore rough terrain that is cold-based, and it was literally cool. So, oh my, when does the DM get to use that? All of the ice puns. Winter finds a pair of tracks in the snow, one that is hoof-cloven, and the other that is predator-based. Finesse looks off into the distance, and with the clear, wide sky is a winter storm far, far ahead of them. Kriv would inspect the tracks and find that they are moose tracks, and above-average-sized wolf tracks. And they were made within a day, and they are headed in the same direction as the party. So logically, the wolf is hunting the moose. However, the moose could be hunting the wolf, and Aaron determines that yes, they are going to hit that storm on their path. Kriv offers to basically carry Aaron, and the party starts putting together plans on how to move faster. Preparing for the worst, the party have out their weapons in case they need to fend off, say, a wolf that is hunting. And apparently Aaron travels light because he only had 6 pounds of gear on him, while Kriv had like 90 pounds of gear on him. Then Finesse decides to offer to carry Kriv's stuff while he carries Aaron. And to me as a DM, I'm just listening to all this like, oh, they're working it out. So lovely. Winter then turns into a horse. A horse with snow leopard patterns. And I'm delighted that the party is between Winter carrying the packs and a person, Kriv carrying Aaron, and then Kriv passing Aaron off to Finesse when he gets tired. So it's delightful that everyone wants to carry the elf. Everyone wants to carry the glass cannon. It's so precious. So the party with their snow leopard horse ride down the southern path, and on the side of the path they are approaching a camp. Winter and Aaron are quite excited and nearly bypass the camp completely, fully focused on the storm. In the camp is a tent, a smoldering fire of wet wood, a large, muscular half-elf, and a beautiful, lovely elven woman. And the half-orc male and the female elf are bickering. They are having an obvious argument that the fire went out. The half-orc is frustrated, even to the people who rolled low perception. Large vein marks are on his face and his hands, as though restraining from being violent. The elf looks tired and cold. They are very invested in their argument. And Finesse would say, what seems to be the problem here? And the half-orc would respond with, well, we're trying to keep a fire going, as he's looking at the elf. And the elf would say, while holding her coat to her, it's not my job to watch the fire. This winter survival thing, I don't know how to keep a fire going. It's your job. To help the situation, Kriv casts prestidigitation in an attempt to quickly light the fire. However, the wood is frozen. Finesse rolls survival to try to figure out what's going on with the wood, but rolls a little low, so he's not exactly sure what's going on. And then Kriv rolls survival to figure out why the prestidigitation did not go as planned. And then Winter broke the jam by stating, I would love to roll survival, but I'm a horse. Kriv would roll a better survival and state, what's wrong with your wood? And the half-orc would explain even that, the wood is frozen, it needs to be thawed out before it can burn properly like a fire. And he explains this more to the elf than to the party. So there is a general upset between the elf and the half-orc about this situation still. And the voices rise and as their argument gets a little louder. So Kriv, better understanding the situation, would then use Firebolt to thaw the logs, and then they would be able to use the thawed logs to build a fire. And the process of building the fire calms down the half-orc. And Aaron would see that the storm is quickly approaching the camp. With the fire lit, Finesse would raise his axe towards the storm and say, onward! Because he has a mother to save, his own. And then Kriv changes his mind. He's no longer in a hurry. Kriv would greet the half-orc with a handshake and introduce himself as Kriv. Having calmed down with a fire now going, the half-orc would introduce him as Bundy Gong. He truly appreciates the help with getting the fire going. And the elf would introduce herself as Chime Whisperer, and Kriv is just introducing himself very friendly to these traveling companions. So after a lot of party confusion, Winter would actually see that Kriv's not there and stop. And Winter neighs very loudly. Finesse, who had earlier rolled a 2 on perception about Kriv being there or not, would really see a horse hard stop in the snow and nearly throw Aaron off. And Finesse, realizing Kriv is not there, is going to turn around and just yell, Kriv! Bundy would have been able to inform Kriv that they are on a journey to Purdy's Rest. Chime Whisper has paid Bundy to get him through the cold wilderness to safety at Purdy's Rest. And Bundy thanks Kriv for starting the nice warm fire. Bundy would mention that there are all kinds of dangerous things out in the wilderness, like white dragons, and you kind of want to know how to avoid those. So Kriv, finally hearing Finesse yell, would yell back, shut up and wait! And he would go back to speaking to Bundy and say, you were saying white dragon? And Bundy is able to verify that there is evidence of a white dragon's gap. And Kriv would ask, more about white dragons, assuming he knows nothing. So Bundy would inform him that they are not the smartest dragons, but they are probably the fiercest. And unless you got really good gear, he does not suggest you go after them. And in Bundy's gut, he just feels one is in the area, and he tries so hard to avoid it. And off in the distance, Finesse is impatiently pacing and twirling his axes as he waits for Kriv to finish with the travelers. And Aaron would say to Finesse, basically, dude, calm down. And Winter, as a horse, would nudge him, trying to get him to calm down. And Winter had, as a horse, Winter had stated that petting a horse would help people calm down. And the party would hear a loud howl in the winds, and the storm is getting closer towards them. And the storm rolls in. The wind picks up, the snow comes down, the fog of just snow and clouds start taking over the air, making it hard to see. It gets dark with how much it obscures the air around them. And Kriv would sit next to Chime Whisperer and try to engage her in kind, soft conversation. He tries to get to know who she is and what she's doing. And Chime Whisperer would say to Kriv, thank you for starting the fire. She really appreciates it, and it's very cold out there. Chime Whisperer is traveling to Purdy's Rest because she has business with Purdy. Purdy is the noble of Purdy's Rest. So the party starts to gather to socialize with the camp travelers. It's very logical at that point that the half-orc saw the storm, decided to stop, and make camp to brave the harsh weather. So he's invested his campsite amongst the trees to make it more stable in the winds. Bundy Gong actually invites them to wait out the storm with the campsite. Finesse, being another noble, probably would have bumped into Purdy. Everyone else, probably not so much. Purdy is a high send-off. Golden blonde hair, tan skin, but she wears all black. She wears something less refined than normal noble quality clothing. You can almost say that her attire is roguelike. Finesse, being a noble, and his mother being part of the captain of the guard, would know more about this than the average citizen of Purdy's Rest. Winter offers some help. Bundy would appreciate getting some more firewood. Bundy is geared towards surviving the storm and getting ready to just survive, get through it. So Winter and Finesse help Bundy get firewood by chopping down trees. Kriv, Aaron, and Chime Whisperer would go into the tent to take shelter from the storm. Kriv asks Chime Whisperer where she's from, and Chime Whisperer would respond that she's from the Feywilds. She also informs them that what she has to discuss with Purdy is not something she has to share with some strangers. She goes on about the winter Eldrin and how she now understands why they have the attitude they do when they're in a winter mode because it's just so cold and uncomfortable. Kriv tries to persuade Chime Whisperer to tell Kriv what he's going to be talking to Purdy about because he's trying to be as helpful to people as he can be, and gathering information is just going to help him being able to help people out. And Chime Whisperer latches onto the fact that Kriv mentions his business with glass blowing and asks, what's glass blowing? So Kriv would show off the Chime Whisperer what he's made. And Aaron rolled so well that she was able to tell that Chime Whisperer had successfully guided Kriv to his love of glass blowing as in conversation, deflecting away from the conversation of Purdy. And Aaron would point out that what Aaron knows about the Feywild is that it's common knowledge, and Chime Whisperer just gives a cheeky smile. Aaron does his best to get Chime Whisperer to talk about what Chime Whisperer needs to see Purdy about. Chime Whisperer is pretty uncooperative, as nicely as possible. And Chime Whisperer repeats that it's cold out and they could use someone to cuddle up with and keep warm in this frigid land. And Kriv's intention is to get Chime to like him a bit more so that Chime Whisperer will be able to answer Kriv's questions. And we go to Bundy, Finesse, and Winter who are chopping wood. Bundy is very effective at chopping down pine, removing their branches with an axe. He's very accustomed to this type of work. Winter would comment about Bundy being so good, and Bundy just responds what he was paid. He's going to do his job, and he's going to get her there safely. And Bundy says he does his job, he just doesn't want to be mocked and told he's bad at what he does when the person hiring doesn't even know how to make a regular fire. So, funnily enough, Winter and Finesse rolled 21 on an insight on Bundy, and he is restraining the murderous anger. He's taking it out on the trees. And Winter being so positive, he says, well, good use for the anger to chop down the trees and get them lots of firewood. Winter comments on Chime Whisperer's inability to build a regular fire. Bundy would inform them that Chime Whisperer is from the Feywild. Bundy comments that it's probably some other dimension, not something he's familiar with. They inquire their own brains and try to figure out what the Feywild is. Finesse rolls higher. Aaron and Finesse have probably studied it. They have studied that it's way different than the tundra area that they're used to. It is the realm that the Fey come from, creatures that are so in tune with nature that it boggles the mind of the humanoids on this realm. They're not a species that can be pinned down in words so easily, magical and mystical. They are creatures like dryads, elves, eldrin, satyrs. It is a place of nature and a place of the dawn, the dusk, the in-between times of the sun. And Winter may be able to relate this to his goddess Aguda. There's a lot more spring weather in the Feywild. Also fall, autumn, summer sometimes, and winter sometimes not. Winter would comment that he might die if he was in the Feywild because he has all that fur and he would be overheated. And Bundy isn't really too concerned with the Feywild. He was just paid to transport Chime Whisperer to Purdy's Rest. He did not get paid to deal with her attitude. He was paid to get her there with her life. Finesse likes to point out the fact that there is a difference between life and limb. Bundy will remember those words. And this party would chop enough wood, sustain them, and then they would join the others inside the tent. Bundy is continuously checking on the fire and making sure it is good and that it is still lit and keeps going. And he might even announce his intention to keep the fire going no matter what to the elf on the other side of the tent. There's still that tension that they do not like each other. Kriv is trying to get on Chime Whisperer's good side for the long game. Kriv takes one of the little test tube things that he made with his glass blowing, able to do a little parlor trick with the glass to make her giggle. Perhaps he blows a little bit of smoke into the glass. It's amusing. She is amused by this. And Whisperer would comment that she likes performances, and she herself pulls out a string instrument. Bundy is taking care of that fire, like his life depends upon it. He's going to make sure it stays burning all night long if he needs to. Chime Whisperer starts strumming an elven tune. The theme is peace, and it relaxes the atmosphere. Kriv uses prestidigitation to assist with the song. He makes a harp harmonizing with the string instrument. Relax the girl. Correction, minor illusion. And with this music, Bundy would finally relax. There is no longer agitated tension in the tent, which is a really huge success. The calmness falling over the tent. Bundy would finally ask them, so what are y'all doing in this weather? And Finesse would answer that his mother's gone missing and he's going to the ice caverns to look for her. And Finesse would introduce himself as Finesse Silvertongue. Bundy pauses for a moment, but he does return the handshake with a strong grip. He says, you're one of the Silvertongue, like he knows of them. Gunn would comment that he has not met a Silvertongue in person before. And while Bundy has heard of them, he has not met one in person. He knows of Finesse's family because Finesse's family owns land, and Bundy can't hunt on that land. And then Bundy would comment that Finesse going to the ice caverns sounds just so dangerous right now because of the dragon scat. And Finesse is just basically saying, oh, I hope it doesn't come to a fight. And Kriv would relay all the information he got from Bundy about the white dragons before. The party discusses dragons and how they are hoarders of treasure, and that white dragons are really good at surviving in the tundra because their element is cold. Aaron would look the Finn and bring up the fact that the white dragon may have his mother. With all the dragon information getting passed around, Finesse says, yeah, it's a possibility. But he certainly hopes not, because it would be a bad situation. Bundy tries to stay away from dragons because he likes his ass where it is. Aaron asks Bundy if he's had any personal experience with dragons. First-hand experience. Bundy prefers the smaller drakes, the ones he can deal with. Very nice insight check, and he can see that. Bundy is a very down-to-earth guy. He knows what he can deal with. He's not going to buff himself up. He just tells it like it is. He's going to survive in the tundra. He's not looking to be an adventurer. To Bundy, there's a big difference between being crazy and going after a huge dragon, and getting something just small enough to where he can kill it and get to pay for it. So Kriv rolls a survival, looking outside to see if he can make it through the storm. He rolls poorly. So the GM tells Kriv that, yeah, you can make it. You're made of fire. You can get through it. Finesse would introduce himself as Finesse with Silver Tongue to Chime Whisperer, asking why she's out here. And Chime Whisperer greets him formally, gives him her name, and replies with that she is going to Birdie's Rest to speak with Birdie. And Chime Whisperer calmly relays that she does not need to relay everything to travelers, that she needs to speak with Birdie about. Finesse just relays that he has influence in the area and it's his home. And Finesse extends his family's name and help in case she should need it. And Chime Whisperer simply accepts it and thanks him for it. And once Finesse moves over to Kriv, Chime would pick back up her instrument and continue to play. Winter rolls to see if he knows the song It's So Pretty. Bundy is still taking care of that fire, like his life depends on it. That fire is his duty until the next morning. It's not going out again. Winter offers to take over the fire if Bundy needs a break, and Bundy simply replies with, nah, I'm not tired yet. And the tent is situated in a grouping of trees, about 10-15 feet high. They are pine trees. With difficulty, Finesse would actually go outside and climb one of the trees. Because of the storm, he ties himself to the trunk. So in the storm, he rolls a perception check at disadvantage to see if he can see snow. He rolls a 4. His eyes are closed. He can't even see the snow. So Finesse would not see anything, but he would hear something. He knows something is around camp. Something is watching. As a creature that is resistant to the cold, Finesse gets a chill down his spine. He hears the huffs of canine jowls and something really big. A reminder that the trees are 10 to 15 feet tall. Finesse is about 10 to 12 feet above the ground. Something passes by in the snow, and it's at his level. So everyone understands that the paw prints that they were looking at before were massive. Again, above average. Finesse unties himself from the tree, makes his way down, and peers into the tent. So Finesse pulls Kriv to the side to offer that they go on a scouting, because he thinks something's around. Finesse attempted to pull Kriv aside stealthily, but failed it with a roll of 3. And Kriv didn't even try to be stealthy, he just said it very loudly and bluntly. So Bundy asked, what's going on? Well, no point in hiding it now. There appears to be some sort of large canine type creature nearby, and he plans to go and look around to find it, or evidence of it. Finesse's plan was to include Kriv on his little mission. But before they can really formulate a plan, for a moment it feels like the wind has swept up the tent. But after that one moment, the tent is ripped upwards and away. All 6 of them are just swarmed with the cold breeze and the snow. The tent has been ripped up. It is flying like a flag out of the jaws of this huge white winter wolf. 10 feet tall, blue glowing eyes, staring at all of them. It drops the tent and it is swept away by the wind of the storm, leaving everyone exposed. These tiny, floating white fairy-like creatures are floating around the wolf. They look like they are motes of flying, lit, glittering ice. And these are ice mephits. Mephits? And the vision of this blizzard is a whiteout condition. Visually, everything is lightly obscured and white. Aaron's first plan of action is to move behind Kriv in an attempt to get away from all the crazy creatures that just ripped away the tent. Aaron moves into the branches of the trees to hide. Kriv on his turn decides to magic missile the son of the gun in the face. The wolf growls because it didn't like that at all. And then, of course, Kriv, in Kriv fashion, would move behind Aaron. The glass cannons try to out-glass cannon each other. As pointed out, Kriv is a glass cannon that can make glass cannons. It's so delightful. Boom, boom. Then Kriv would tap Aaron on the neck, and there's a moment where they go, wait, we've done this before. It feels so familiar, as if this has happened in a dream. Finesse's turn. He moves closer to the beast, and he pulls out his jerky from his rations. He holds it up to the wolf as food, and the wolf snatches the jerky from Finesse's hand without taking the hand with it, and Finesse puts out his hand for the wolf to smell. A complete How to Train Your Dragon moment. The wolf looks intensely at Finesse, with those glowing blue eyes. And Finesse intensely looks back, and the wolf would put his nose to the hand. There is a communication that the wolf being offered food, it will take the offered food, and if it doesn't have to kill for food, it will not. And as Finesse stands there, feeling the breath of this wolf on his hand, it is a good thing he's cold resistant because it feels as though the blizzard is blowing on his hand. Following Finesse's example, Winter takes his turkey out of his pack and offers it to the wolf. And Winter says, if it's a meal you're after, the bounty is gladly shared. And the wolf jaws would clamp down on the jerky that Winter offers. And then the Winter wolf speaks in common and says, if you are willing to serve me meat, I will happily partake. And yes, it's spoken common. And Winter would say, well, you speak the common tongue. The wolf snarls, and there's a communication between the Winter wolf and the ice mephits. The 4 mephits would collectively come back to the wolf and land on its back. Winter would ask if the Mephits are friends of the wolf. The Winter wolf would respond with useful fleas. Winter would inquire if the ice Mephits are bothering the wolf. There's a little bit of a mutual relationship between the ice Mephits and the Winter wolf. Bundygong did have his axe out, but upon it, the party was feeding the wild animal. He looks at them all like they're crazy. And Chime Whisperer hides behind the wood elf Aaron with Kriv. And Aaron turns to Kriv and asks, what's going on? How do you feel about it? Aaron wants to ask Kriv, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And Kriv just says, I just hit it in the face, so I'm not going over there. Aaron says he doesn't want to leave Kriv, but he's curious. And Kriv offers that Aaron can take his meat to the wolf. So Kriv would give Aaron his jerky. Aaron moves closer to the wolf and offers the jerky up, palm open with the meat in it, so it's non-aggressive. So Finesse basically offers the Winter wolf more food, but it may take some time to get the food from town, a few hours. There is this idea that they'll be able to go back to town and get food for the wolf, but the wolf interrupts that thought and asks, can you hunt? And Finesse would answer yes. Then the Winter wolf would request that they hunt with him. Help me hunt. What are you hunting? Moose. Fill my belly. Winter casts Goodberry and feeds the Winter wolf a Goodberry, which sustains a creature for a day. There, the wolf is full. So easy, so fast, so efficient. The Winter wolf would take the offering from Aaron as well. Winter wolf would look a little confused. It takes a moment. Then the wolf would sit. And Winter would ask, didn't I keep my word? So quick. Yes. Kriv wants to see what his magic missile did to the wolf, so he rolls a medicine check. Kriv finds out that the wolf started out with 75 hit points, and he only took 10 away. Metatalk. We talk about eating monsters and cooking with, cook players. Fun. Winter hands out good berries to everybody. And Chime Whisperer creeps closer to Kriv because Kriv is a fire dragonborn. Thus he's warm, and she is cold, and she's cuddling close to keep warm. It's cold out there in the blizzard. And Bundy is pretty upset that his tent got ripped away. They're all now exposed to the wilderness. No fire. Not happy. So the wolf has been pacified, and the game ended there. Everybody gained a level. They are still in a stressful time in the middle of the blizzard, but also they have gained a tentative ally in this Winter wolf, and it's fleas. And thus ends this week's episode. Tune in again this Saturday, November 21st. Damn it, Jonah, on Twitch TV, 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. 3 more episodes to go. See you there.